Welcome to the Blind But Not Broken podcast, a journey through resilience and perception, where every mile reveals a new insight. Join us as we navigate the road ahead.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Blind But Not Broken podcast. Today's topic is going back to something I touched on before, was what would I tell my 25-year-old self? I touched on it. I had a buddy of mine call me and said, you got to go into more depth in this thing. So I said, and he's like, cargo pants. He says, oh my God, you don't need cargo pants. The funny part is he's giving me crap because I still wear cargo pants. Parachute pants, no. Cargo pants, yes. But it's funny. I don't know that I would have done a lot different. Granted, I wouldn't have went through my childhood like I did because that sucked, bottom line. But I wouldn't have become who I am today if it weren't for that. Everything happens for a reason. I really believe that. I believe that in my own life as well as I do believe it in everybody's lives. I believe it. Everything happens for a reason. And it's all in how you handle what happens, not what happens to you, but how you handle it. And I believe that. And it's amazing to me because a lot of people, and this is why I don't get people in general, a lot of people don't look at things like that. They're like, oh, poor pitiful me because this happened. Well, it's going to happen whether it's you or not. Somebody's going to have to deal with it. And the point is dealing with it and moving on instead of dealing with it, or instead of staying in it. What's the saying? If you're going through hell, keep going. It's true. If you're going through a bad time, keep going because sooner or later you're going to come out of it. The sun's going to come out, etc. ELO has a great song, Mr. Sunshine. If you've never heard the words or whatever, look them up. Listen to it. It's all about there's clouds out, then there's no sunshine. Where have you gone? And the whole point is that you have different things that you are going to deal with as a child, as a young adult, as an adult. It doesn't matter. As an old adult, you're going to deal with things and they're going to happen. Things are going to happen. Some things are going to happen to you. Some things are going to happen because you made the decision. It's sort of one of the things I realize is life is sort of like a video game. It really is. Especially today's video games, you make a decision in the game and it affects the rest of the game on how you made that decision. Whether you chose to steal from this person or kill that person or whatever it is you're playing, rob from Peter to pay Paul, whatever. It's going to affect you later on in the game. And it affects how you learn about things. It affects how people deal with you, how people see you. It's all about your choices. It all comes down to your choices. My 25-year-old self, if I could tell him anything, it would be quit blaming others for crap that happens. Don't do any of the oh, poor, pitiful me crap. I haven't done a lot of that in my life, but I have done some, like everybody. And if I could tell my 25-year-old self something, that would be that. When I walked on and tried out for the Vikings, I was doing it because of the fact that at the time I loved football and I wanted to play at that level. And I had never done that because I hadn't went to middle school or high school, so therefore I'd never played football at a regular setting or whatever. So like you could be found. But back then you could actually walk on and try out. And I did, and I made it to second to the last round. Not bad for somebody who knew nothing about what he was doing. But then I was like, the guy that was with me, that's where I got my nickname Junior. The coach was giving everybody nicknames that were supposed to be cut downs, supposed to piss you off. And I was a big boy. And I was probably 295, 300 pounds, and I was solid brick muscle. And the guy with me, next to me, was a huge gentleman. And he was so big, the coach was kind of mortified. He was like, I don't want to piss this guy off. So he named him Senior because I was next to him. He just named me Junior. The guy next to me, he named Prophylactic. It was like, thank whoever I was standing next to the big guy instead of this. But that's all I need is to be considered prophylactic the rest of my life. But people called it to me because I hated the nickname. And I was like telling my 25-year-old self that when you were in your 60s, that you were going to still have that name and it will have followed you through your whole life. I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed it. But it's funny because telling my 25-year-old self these things, you don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't get into the oh poor pitiful me thing. It's not like it is today. Oh poor pitiful me is like a state of consciousness at this point. Everybody and their brother's doing it. And it's nobody's taking responsibility for their own actions. Watch a show on Patrol Live, you watch that show. If you watch that show, anybody that gets pulled over, anybody that does whatever, you can see the people, for instance, switching seats when they get pulled over. They're switching seats, and you can see it. They're showing it to you. And yet, when the officer gets up to the front and says, "Hey, I saw you do," I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. It's so easy for people nowadays to just bullface lie, and that blows me away. I have a hard time with that because I've always tried to be extremely honest. Well, I haven't always tried to be. I've always been extremely honest, and I tried a couple times to lie, and it just didn't. Number one, it didn't feel right. Number two, I wasn't good at it. And nowadays, these people should get Academy Awards, literally, because they'll sit and make you believe it. Oh, they didn't do it. You just saw them do it, but boy, they'll convince you they didn't do it. And it's like, and then they do some of the stupidest excuses that I've ever heard in my life. And it's funny because it's a totally different story. If you get a chance to close your eyes while they're talking and just listen to them, if you just listen to them, see, you've cut off the visuals. And if you just listen to them, you pick up a lot more in their voices and the way they talk and different things. It is amazing the things that you will pick up. But that's one of the things I would tell my 25-year-old self. Enough with the excuses or whatever. It took me a long time. I didn't find Jim Rohn till I was in my late 40s, I think. And mid to late 40s is when I found Jim Rohn. And I found Jim Rohn through Herbalife, of course. But anyway, that's how I found Tony Robbins. That's how I found Les Brown. But Jim Rohn totally changed my outlook on everything. And it made me realize that I was doing certain things in my life that I wasn't doing. Well, that was in my 40s, but I'm 25 and I'm thinking about myself at 25 and I'm thinking about the crap I did, the stuff I shouldn't even be alive today with some of the crap I did. And it's like, what would I tell myself? If you could honestly tell yourself something and say you had 3 minutes to tell yourself something, what are the things you would tell yourself? 3 minutes. That's what you got. So time yourself 3 minutes. What would you tell yourself? All the things that have happened from then to now. What would you tell yourself? How would you do it? I watch these college students and they are so far from reality. A lot of them are. 85% of them are so far from reality. They have no clue what's going on in the world. They believe some talking head on TV because they're lazy, or there's some talking head on social media. These influencers are getting paid by people like George Soros and people like, oh hell, I can't even think of the others, but billionaires and millionaires that put a lot of money into these places and do all this stuff to get these influencers on YouTube, that all these kids that are now in college that have been listening to all this time, they've been listening to it, and they're the ones they take their advice from. Well, these influencers are getting paid a lot of money by these people to say whatever they want them to say. They even give them scripts to say it. And these influencers go out there and say it's there. It's in their mind. It's crap. It's bull. But because they have the audience and because they have all these people following them, they put that stuff out there. And if it only hits on 1 in 10 on these people, they've just influenced a whole lot of people. And then these people go out and literally spew the same things they've heard, whether it be in politics, whether it be in medicine, whether it be in school, news, food, whatever it is. These influencer peddling, these people are sucking it up. And it's like that's where they get 90% of their stuff from. So they have no clue what they're really talking about. None. Zero. I remember when I still had my site, I had a pickup truck that was a big white Toyota Tundra, and I was using that for Uber at the time. It's when Uber first came out. And I would pick up kids from the college. And one of the kids I picked up one time, she had a bunch of books with her, and she was going to another place to meet up with some people to study or whatever. And in the front of this Tundra on the windshield, at the time I was a hardcore Herbalife distributor, and we actually had a nutrition club here in town, actually. It was called End Zone Nutrition. But anyway, across the top of the windshield was Herbalife. It said Herbalife, and it had the Herbalife emblem. And I got so into Herbalife. Let me see if I can show this. I don't know if anybody can see that, but that is my tat. It says live, love, laugh, and learn. And it has the Herbalife symbol in the middle of it. And because Herbalife had changed my life with Jim Rohn and etc. So anyway, just besides. The point I'm getting at is this gal had been told by her professor that Herbalife was this big conglomerate, and it was a pyramid scheme, and it was all these different bad things, and the products killed you, and the people were dying from them, and all kinds of crap. And so it happened that Herbalife had just been investigated by the U.S. government. They had just done a huge probe, 2 or 3 year probe on them, and they came out and said they weren't a pyramid scheme. They did fine them because they found out that they had certain practices that they shouldn't be doing. For instance, there was no such you couldn't be just a customer. When you signed up, you had to be a distributor. You didn't have to distribute, you didn't have to do anything like that, but you had to sign up as a distributor to get the discounts. And one of the things the government made Herbalife do was make it to where you could have, and we had been saying this to Herbalife for years, but that made it to where you could just be a customer. No distributorship, just a customer. You couldn't sell the products, you couldn't do anything. You could just use the products and have a discount. And that's one of the things they made them do. And they made them pay a fine because of this, because a lot of people were pissy and moany. Again, what I'm talking about when I was 25, doing what's happening to me, it's all I'm a victim thing. And what this was a lot of people had said, well, I ain't making any money, I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that. Let me make it real clear here. If you work your buns off like anything else, no matter what industry you're in, if you work your buns off and keep going, you will be successful. That's just the bottom line. Success leaves clues. You will be successful. A lot of people, they get into Herbalife because they're told by some distributors that, oh my God, you can make billions of dollars and blah. You can, but you're going to work your buns off for it. Enrique Carrillo is my favorite go-to for this because Enrique worked his literal tail off. He's a people person, so he worked his tail off, because you got to be a people person to do this. You've got to be. I wasn't. That's why I didn't do well in it. I wasn't a people person. I was very in your face, when somebody would come into the club and go, oh my God, this is that, and they'd pick up a canister and look at it and go, oh my God. And then they'd walk over to Burger King and get 4 bags of food. I was the guy that stood out in the strip mall parking lot and literally would say things like, does your family tree even fork? I would say things like that. Now, no, it wasn't a great look. No, I wasn't. But I was a knuckle dragging truck driver for a long time, so I didn't have any real filters. And my business partner at the time was grabbing me and trying to pull me back into into our club. But that's the kind of person I was. Well, you can do this. You can make money, but you got to be a people person. Just bottom line. Anyway, this gal had told me all this stuff. The professor just got done telling. I digress. This gal that got in the truck is telling me these things, and my professor just told me all this stuff. Well, I pulled it up because it was on, I don't know, CNN or MSNBC or whatever. They were talking about Herbalife, and they had done some stuff. So I got my iPad out and pulled it up and gave it to her, and I said, there you go. And she started listening to it and started watching it, and the news was reporting that Herbalife had been under investigation for many months, and they got a fine, but that they were not a pyramid scheme, and that their products did actually work, and yada yada. And this guy was like, oh my God. She was like, my professor lied to me. And I said, no, what your professor did was speak about something he knew nothing about. He listened to some talking head, and that's what he did. So he knew nothing about it. He wasn't going to go research it because he's a professor and he thinks he knows more than everybody else. And so he told you his opinion, not the facts. I said, and don't tell your professor that because your professor will give you an F. If you know more than he does, you make him look bad. Don't do it. But just know this. And from now on, when he tells you shit, go research it. Yeah, I got an iPad. We'll do it. Yeah, I got a laptop. We'll go do it. That's what I told her. And I wish somebody had told me this. Now, don't get me wrong, when I was 25, there was no such thing as a iPad. There was no such thing. Hell, there wasn't even cell phones back then. You had to pick up the phone, and you had a cord, and you had to go to that cord. It was like if you went further than that cord, the phone went, and you were like, oh my God, did I drop you on your head? Yeah, that kind of thing. That's how it was. But that's why I bring this up for my 25-year-old self. I was telling this gal this, and I realized that all these kids at the University of Arizona were all hearing stuff from people that had tenure or whatever and couldn't be fired, and were telling them just crap. And it blew me away. I was thinking, wow, their parents are paying a crap ton of money. These kids are going into serious debt and they're learning crap. So then they're going to graduate and they're going to take that crap out into the world. And that crap isn't going to serve them well because people who want to succeed deal with facts. And it blew me away because I thought, wow. And so what I started doing was when I pick up these kids or whatever, I just talk to them about whatever. And instead of telling them, because at that point I was listening to Jim Rohn and stuff too, but instead of telling them, oh, you should think this, their professors were telling them, I would tell them, I would ask them questions. Because the strongest thing you can do and the way to change somebody's mind is make them think it's their idea. If you make someone think it's their idea, they will defend that idea to the death, and to the death because they want to be right. So if you can, you see this sometimes on YouTube, some of the interviews and stuff, and the interviewer will be trying to go at somebody, and then all of a sudden, the answers this person's given back, all of a sudden is the interviewer's going, and what is happening is the interviewer is realizing that their argument is all wrong. And how do you, on live TV or taped or whatever, get out of that situation, untangle yourself from that because you put yourself into this situation? People don't even argue with me at all, because I don't argue with people. You can be invited to the argument, doesn't mean you have to attend. I'm not going to attend an argument. If somebody said, I've had people on here comments, I've had some really great comments. People have really interacted and said some really decent things and asked some decent questions, and I've answered them. And then some people are just like, they're trolling, and I get it. And when they troll, I will come up with I don't just block them. I come up with creative ways of telling them what I am looking to say and what the fact is, so that they really can't come back at it. Because once you hit them with a fact that they can't dispute, they find it hard to do anything. Then they start calling you names and stuff like that. I had one guy call me Jabba the Hutt, and I was like, thank you. And he was like, you just thanked me for calling you Jabba the Hutt. I said, well, he's famous, so thank you. I think that's how I did it. And it was like, because I didn't really care what he thought. His opinion meant less to me than a gnat I smack on my face. I don't care what people think of me. It's what's nice about being me. But I do want to try and give back to people because it's something Jim Rohn taught me would help change the world for a better place. So that's what I was trying to do with this gal. Again, I digress, with this gal that I picked up. And she was totally blown away. And I just told her, I said, look up the facts and go past the first page on Google or whatever. Go past that. But look up these different things. When he tells you, professor tells you something, or your friend tells you something, go look it up. Social media was a great breakthrough, but it's also an incredibly abused tool, because that's what it is, a tool for people to keep in touch with each other. And the problem is they can keep in touch with each other and not get together and not do anything with each other. Just get on social media and go, hi, I'm there, I'm doing this. And all you see is, and I love the ones where they go, they look like a fish. I don't get where anybody ever came up with that, but I'm telling you now, you look like a fish. Keep doing it. That's fine, but you look like a fish. Smile. The world needs more of them. The world needs more smiles. Just smile. If you're going to kick your foot up and do all these different things, oh, look at my life. The problem is, though, those are the same people that are having problems at home or that are having problems with their boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever. If you got a guy doing this, just you tell me. But it's like all these women doing it and stuff, and I'm just like, wow, because there's so much more things, more better things you could be doing with your life, spending some time with people you really care about, because one day they won't be there anymore. That's another thing I would tell my 25-year-old self, because I've never been good at keeping in touch with anybody. I've been a loner, and that's where I'm comfortable. Well, I mean, hell, that's why I'm doing this, is because of the fact that I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone and trying to. I was told by a friend that I needed to share things that I've learned. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to teach folks the way I look at stuff. And it is amazing to me, and totally amazing to me, that we go through our lives pretty much with blindfolds on and just do what everybody says. We follow everybody. COVID was a good thing of that. When COVID came out, that was a good thing because it was literally, hell, the government even tested to see how far they could control us. And then they admitted it, what, 3 years later? They admitted it. They admitted that it was part of it was a huge test. And it's like people are going, oh my God, that's conspiracy theories. No, it's not. That's exactly what they did. Can we control the masses? You don't think government's thinking about that? Think again, because honestly, it doesn't take many brains to figure this out. But that's what I tell my 25-year-old self. Research. Back then, you'd have to go to the library to research because there was no internet. So you have to go to the library to research. When somebody tell you something or whatever, back then, where you got all your news was literally from the top three, like ABC, NBC, and CBS. Those were the top three. And that's where you got all your news. When the president was talking, when they were having the State of the Union or whatever, you were screwed if you were a kid because all three channels had that on it. There was no such thing as videotapes and all that shit. That came out and it was like VCRs were expensive back then and VHS and what was the other one? Beta. VHS ended up winning. Anyway, lots of different stuff I would tell myself. Stock tips. But telling myself these two things, what would you tell yourself? I'd tell myself to not take life so seriously. I'd tell myself to keep in touch with people that are in your life that you love. I'd tell myself to be a light instead of part of the dark. I know it's cool to be like the brooding badass or whatever. It's bullshit. And that's what it is. And it boils down to I've lived through it. I did it. I was it. That was when I was 25 years old. I was built like a brick shit house. I had 22-inch biceps back then. I was loading 25 bags, 25 or 200-pound bags of feed onto a truck for 12 hours a day. And you got paid per bag. So I would take 2 bags in his hand, shift them over my shoulder, and run them up into the trailer. I was built. I was huge. And so I know what it is to be the bad boy, the idiot. I know what it is. And it boils down to that didn't get me anywhere. Got me laid a lot, but that's all it got me. And honestly, if I had to talk to myself again and at 25, I would tell myself stuff in that 3-minute period that I told you about. I would tell myself, don't take life too seriously. Laugh as much as possible. Music and laughter are the keys to people's souls. I would tell myself that. I would tell myself to be a light instead of the dark. Tell myself not to be so stupid, to actually research stuff, to actually look at things, not just look over them, but look at things because you see what you want to see. So look at things. Tell myself to love deeply because it doesn't matter if you get hurt. It's worth it. It's worth loving and getting just burned. And it's worth it over and over and over again because it's better to have loved and lost than not to have loved at all. It's a phrase, but it's also really true. There are so many things that I would tell myself. I wore bib overalls for 90% of my life. I wouldn't change that. I wore a cowboy hat for a crap ton of time in my life, including when I was trucking. I wore these type of caps, but I wore cowboy hats more than that. I would tell myself to take more time off. I would tell myself to work on the ranch that I worked on in Montana for more than a year and a half, to keep working on it, because it was so incredibly awesome working on that ranch on a horse all the time. And in the wintertime, it was brutal, but it was worth it. It was awesome. It was awesome. I loved doing that, nature and stuff. And it was like you just had a few guys you had to deal with, and that was it. And they all thought the same way you did anyway. It was a great thing. I loved it. I would tell myself to keep my land in Colorado, to keep my land that I bought in Montana. I'd tell myself, remember to keep that. Don't get rid of it. Don't get pissed off and get rid of it on a whim. You're going to do this, don't do this. And I would talk like a fool because I'd do it fast. I don't have 3 minutes to tell myself this stuff. What would you tell yourself? When you really think about it, what would you tell yourself? You go back, you got 3 minutes to do it. Go. What would you tell yourself? Tell me. I want to hear it. I want to hear what you would tell yourself, because I think it says a lot about us what we'd tell ourselves. It says a lot about who we've become, what we've had in our past as compared to what we're at in our future. There's a lot of different things that it can tell you, and you are the only one that can answer the question. What would you tell you? Like I said, I would tell myself not to wear tighty whities and bib overalls together. That is something I would tell myself, because when you get straw in those tighty whities, boy, that hurts. Just saying. No, it's a lot of information, but it's something I'd tell myself. I'm not into pain, not a masochist. But in all seriousness, what would you tell yourself that you know that you didn't know then and you wish you did? You got 3 minutes to do it. Anyway, I'm glad you all, yeah, I'm glad I could get back to this. Like I said, I had the buddy of mine ask me about this, and I thought I'll go deeper into it. This is what I'd tell myself. I'd tell myself also that all the crap I went through as a child, I need to let go of that shit right now. Right then at 25, I need to let go of that shit, because that's where I got half of my anger from. That's where my temper came from. And I would tell myself, let go of that shit, because it's going to haunt you your whole damn life. And it doesn't have to, because it's like baggage you're carrying around. You could drop it at any time you want. It's just most people don't realize they're carrying it. Anyway, that's what I would tell myself. What would you tell yourself? I would love to hear it. As I always say, you have a chance every day to change your life. Every day that ends in Y. It is a choice to do what you're doing. You can choose to change your life. You can choose to take the next bend in the road, because there's tons of decisions that you're choosing every day. You can make yourself better, because unless you get better, things around you aren't going to get better. That's just reality. That's just the way it works. You choose to change, your life will change. You choose to get better, your life will get better. And you can do that every day that ends in Y. You can do that starting today, no matter what age you are. You can start doing some Tony Robbins. You can start doing some Jim Rohn. Hell, that's another thing that's going on. Tony Robbins is having the AI Summit Advantage. It's the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th of this month. It's free. Guys, I can't tell you enough. This will change your life. If you're not into AI yet, this will change your life. If you are into AI, this will take you to the next level. The people know what they're talking about. They're the best of the best in the business in AI. And you get onto this little thing called the AI Advantage Group, Advantage Summit Group, and AI Advantage Group. And it is amazing. You have people on there that are so smart. They're so intelligent when it comes to this stuff. You got some people that don't know anything. You got other people that know everything. And these people are willing to share with you. And for free, what more can you ask for? Go look it up. AI Advantage Summit 2026. It's 3 days, it's 3 hours a day. It's free. And you get access to the Advantage Group. That alone is huge, because it's a huge group. Guys, I can't tell you enough. It will change your life. It will. It's personal development changes your life. So does AI. AI is going to change everybody's life. AI is the reason I can do this. AI is the reason why shorts get cut. The reason why you guys see shorts of me. I'm not doing that. I tell the AI to do it. It splits them up into what it thinks is great shorts, and then I have it do whatever I need to do. I schedule it to post when it's supposed to post. I can't do this crap. I'm blind. But like I said, every day that ends in Y, you have an opportunity to change yourself. Go join the AI Advantage Summit 2026. It'll change your life. My gift to you, Tony's gift to me and us, Tony and Dean's gift. So go do it. You're never going to have a better time. It's only 3 hours a day. It's actually in the afternoon anyway, so it doesn't matter. But that's what I would do if I were you. And I hope you all choose to make this your best day ever. And I hope you choose that every day that ends in Y. Guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.